Raindrops. On today's episode of RealiTea Crime Stories, Courtney Parker and I are back with Judge Tyranny. And listen, Raindrops, I am here with some updates from Courtney and Tyranny.
Yay! We love an update.
Yeah, so we have updates based on some of the cases that we've been following and Raindrops. One thing we know, Judge Tyranny loves to remind us, honey, if it's an open case, she cannot talk about it. But baby, do I have a surprise for her? Okay. We have a few cases that are closed, okay, that I'll get into later because I want Judge Tyranny to be surprised by my latest update. But first, we got to get into what's going on in Atlanta. Okay, there's a lot going on, Judge, in your city when it
Listen,
comes.
you're making me nervous. I don't
Well,
like surprises.
well, look, I do, which is why I'm good at my job.
Clearly.
Look, this is what I do, Raindrops. I produce the girls, honey. They never know what Carlos King
They
has.
never know. We really do not know
They
what's
really don't
coming.
know. They really don't know. So let me start out with the case that has been closed as of 13 hours ago.
Oh,
All right. Raindrops, Courtney's friend, Simon Gubadia.
I already love this episode. I already love this episode. Damn it, I knew to wear my Simon t-shirt.
That's a I'm kidding, Ray Johns. We're laughing because in the comments y'all said that Courtney is clearly friends with Simon because
I'm
y'all felt like she was. And the word that the young kids say that your daughter probably says, Courtney,
right.
they said that you were caping for Simon. You know what that
Caping
means?
for Simon. Yes. I
Okay.
will not even have you all explain to me what caping means. I'm supposed to be here explaining terms. I just want to go on record. That's not a legal term. I don't know what
No.
that means. No, but
No.
it's a shady one. It's a definitely shady one.
It's a shady term in the reality zeitgeist. So and just listen, the world of like
Fun.
culture. So imagine the Superman cape, and
Okay.
you know how the cape signifies you're saving someone.
Saving somebody. I was Simon Save a
Hey,
Hoe.
what a great explanation, Carlos. I got it now.
Yes.
Yes.
Listen, you talk about you, Judge T. I got drug for just offering a different perspective. Because the raindrops are team Porsha, as is Carlos. So me speaking and playing devil's advocate on
As
Simon's
she
behalf
should.
got me drug. Okay, I needed an umbrella for the rain hailstorm that
Your
came. Me
cape
just
didn't cover
offering a
you?
perspective, huh?
I said your cape didn't cover you from
No, I was too busy caping him. I didn't save myself. I didn't follow airplane protocols.
No,
Ask
she
over
didn't.
yourself.
She didn't. But listen, but again, the
Yes.
reason why it was a fun dialogue is because Courtney offered a another POV, which is helpful, which is really helpful, and that's why we love Courtney. So look, just to remind the raindrops
Yep.
and the two of you, okay, Portia's ex-husband, because the divorce is final,
Ugh.
Simon Gubadia. Remember, raindrops, he filed a lawsuit
Yep.
saying that, well, he filed a lawsuit for $500,000 in damages, claiming that Portia defamed him on social media for a post
Ugh.
implying that he suffered from erectile dysfunction. If y'all could see the judge face as you see now, it's she's locking up and throwing away the key. Okay, so judge, Portia hashtag men's health awareness. She
He
hashtag
posted it.
ED.
Uh-huh.
She hashtag ED. So judge, true story. I was out with my girlfriends And they said, "You saw what Portia posted, ED?" I said, "Yeah." And she tried to say he's Mr. Ed, like he's I don't get it. And they said, Carlos King, she's implying that he has erectile dysfunction. I said, "Is she?" So apparently, Simon thought the same thing and he sued her for defamation.
Yep.
As of 13 hours ago, at the time of this recording, Simon has officially dropped his
Mm.
$500,000 defamation lawsuit against Porsha.
Okay.
Okay. Um,
I need to call him and find out. No. Can you should I call him?
so this is what his lawyer said, and this is what I want us to talk about. His legal team indicated that the reason for dropping this is the fact that Simon is focused on his immigration status and subsequent deportation were the primary drivers for ending the case because
Okay.
Judge he was deported back. Well, I think he's in Dubai.
Yeah.
Courtney would know more. They talk often, but allegedly he's in Dubai, so he got deported. So look, first, Courtney, I gotta get your opinion on this because our first episode, Judge, of Reality Crime Stories, focused on this particular
On this case.
topic, and
Oh,
and and now we have an update that he dropped the
and I
$500,000.
was not the legal expert then, okay?
No, but I
No,
He
want to
that
hear
was
dropped.
your
our good
thoughts.
friend Steve. Right.
Yes, but I do want to hear your thoughts
Yep.
after Courtney Judge just on the idea of people dropping defamation lawsuit because my question for you is what I was told those are hard to prove. But before we get to Judge, because my brain just
Right.
want to know that. Courtney, are you surprised that Simon dropped the lawsuit?
I Part of me says yes, I am surprised. In the grander scheme of things, though, and especially because she has now moved on in several relationships, but this one relationship in particular, I think this is not going to be the end of what he says, but I think this also gives him grounds to be able to have an opinion, a strong opinion on her new relationship and lifestyle. And so, in order to be able to say anything, you can't have an open lawsuit. And I'm not a lawyer, but I would think in order to be able to comment on her right now. You can't do that hanging over with a lawsuit that you filed hanging over her head. I think if he's working to get back into the United States, he doesn't want these minute things standing in the way. And I just think Simon is gonna have real things to say about Portia's new relationship choices, and he needs to be able to do that with a clean slate. So,
And to add to that too, because Judge, I want to hear for you. The lawyer actually intimated that he's ending his defamation lawsuit against her because he's unsure that he can enter the United States to attend trial in Atlanta.
mm-hmm.
So, Judge, what are your thoughts on that? Because the thing is this, um, is that plausible that, if you file a defamation lawsuit against somebody, you live in Dubai, they live in the United States, do you have to attend court in person in order to see the trial through?
So, with modern day technology, there are options. There are a lot of courts, and the court that they were in, I have no idea. Even though this case is closed, again, I don't talk about things that I don't know about.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure that it's actually closed, just as a note, because even though I wasn't on this episode, remember I was on the episode
Where we were talking
where
about the house.
we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about, and so I don't know the status of that. So they may still have business with one another. Who knows?
Hmm.
But what I will say is that there are possibilities now with modern technology to have you appear in court through Zoom court. There are a lot of courts that actually do Zoom court. I don't know if that's a possibility or not in this instance. But what I will say specifically about defamation cases is that the biggest number one thread of a defamation case is you have to have said something false.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Yeah.
what the allegations were.
That he had
So,
ED.
so you have to prove that does not sound like you're caping, Courtney.
Oh God.
Go ahead. And she used it right. Go
I'm a
ahead.
fast learner.
Allegedly.
All
Okay.
alleged, all
All
alleged,
alleged.
all
So
alleged,
you
all
have to
alleged.
prove that it was a false statement. You have to prove that you had harm and you have to show the damages.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if or when they defended can meet all of those thresholds.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you couple that with someone who is actually not a US citizen, I could see that becoming more difficult to actually put up a case
Mm,
in a United States court.
mm,
Got it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
In a
mm-hmm.
United States court. Got it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
do you notice the timing? And I will say this about Simon. It's very interesting when he stops being part of the conversation and Porsha has moved on and there is thrilling, exciting new news about her. He finds a way to become the conversation yet again. I mean, like he really does. We are on and we have moved on to Portia's exciting new relationship. Um, her vacation with her new friend. And it's like clockwork. He has a Porsche radar. That woman is happy. He is gonna be like, well, listen, I'm back. Y'all gonna talk about me one way or the other. And this is when I'm like, Team Portia. Portia, this man should just let you live. I mean, you can't even be happy for 5 seconds in your new relationship before this man is like, oh, what about me? What about me?
I am
Cape is
actually
officially off,
screaming.
maybe? Cape off. Damn it, man.
Came
Damn it.
off. Courtney did all that
Came
caping for
up.
nothing.
That sounds like a hashtag.
Cape off. Right. What is another update, Carlos? Do you have one more?
That is a so I want to, stay in Atlanta because it's such
Okay.
familiar
It's
territory.
another
You
Give
said
us
what?
another update.
it's another
Reality
one in
crime
Atlanta.
story update.
Yes, yes, yes. Listen, one thing we like to do, Judge Tyranny, is feed the raindrop because they are always hungry for content. Okay?
Atlanta is the city that never stops giving.
Hey, absolutely.
New York is the city that never sleeps, and Atlanta is the city that never stops giving. You are right, because let
That
me tell
always
y'all something.
shakes.
New housewife of Kelli Ferrell and Phaedra Parks
Oh,
scored a victory, Judge Tyranny and Courtney. So just to update the two of you
yes,
on this
please.
story, you said what?
Yes, please.
And a disclaimer before Carlos gets into this. You know, I'm always saying I don't know these people. I don't know who we're talking about. I actually do know Phaedra and we are friends. So let me say this before you say
Yes, no,
anything
no.
about
They
my
scored a
friend, my
victory. They scored a
colleague.
victory.
No, the good news is this. You'll be very happy with the story. In terms of
Okay.
it
Cool.
in
Okay.
terms of it's a good story that is good for Phaedra. In terms of that,
Good.
in terms of that, in terms of that. Okay, 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 okay. All right. So Kelli Farrell, Courtney, you watched last season of
Yep.
Atlanta Housewives. She's a
Yep.
new housewife, Judge Tyranny. And she owned a restaurant called Nana's Chicken and Waffles.
Yep.
Her husband alleged that she was misappropriating funds. He also alleged she pretty much did a lot of fraudulent things allegedly,
Yep.
as it related to the business. On top of that, Kelly has mentioned that allegedly he was not paying child support. So Phaedra
Mm.
Parks returned back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta late last season. They are filming the new season well, they filmed it last year. It's going to air sometime this year. Phaedra Parks actually represented Kelly as it related to this child support situation. Your friend, Judge Tyranny, Phaedra Parks, was able to fight the case for her client and co-star Kelly as related to her ex-husband, Mark Ferrell, who was thrown in jail for
Oh.
allegedly failing to pay child support. Okay. A hearing was held as part of Kelly's lawsuit against her ex-husband over the unpaid support obligations. They were married for 11 years, starting in 2011 and ended in 2022. They shared three minor children.
If he was taken into custody, it's no longer alleged.
Oh. Well.
But he was taken, yeah.
That means that
I was
a
just like,
hearing found that he has violated the child support order and he was
yeah.
taken into custody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Georgia, in order to detain you, you have a right to a hearing before you are detained.
Okay.
So that's what happened. The judge determined that at the hearing, Judge, to your point, the judge determined that Mark was in contempt of court for being in errors to the tune of $61,992. The judge found that Mark's failure to pay was willful. They ordered Mark to be taken to custody until he pays $31,000 of the
At
debt.
least half.
Following his release, Mark was instructed to pay $1,000 per month to Kelly until the rest of the balance is paid off. In addition to that, he was ordered to continue paying $3,991 per month in child support. Phaedra Parks did her big one, so much so that Mark's lawyer said that their client had identified and offered immediate access to $74,000 in escrowed funds from the sale of his home to satisfy the obligation in full. And
Mm.
he's saying that his client never refused to pay for child support. He also said, continued, on the contrary, he has made repeated documented efforts to do so. On two separate occasions, Mr. Ferrell submitted partial child support payments in good faith. In both instances, Kelly and her attorneys rejected the payments and returned the funds, explicitly stating that no payments would be accepted unless the full amount was paid at once. So,
Yeah. That's interesting. Why would someone do that? If you accept payments, and this is just a blanketed question as it pertains to this though. If you fail to if you accept partial payments, does that mean you're agreeing to different terms as to why you might have rejected? Like if I owe Carlos $500 and he's like, I don't want $100, so I'm gonna reject your $100. I want my full $500.
and if I accept $100,
$100.
does that, to your point, Courtney, does that lose any sort of like case or leverage that I may have? That's a good question.
So I would say it in the reverse. Carlos
Okay.
loans you $500 and he says, I want $500 back by the end of the week. The end of the week, you don't pay Carlos $500, you pay Carlos $100.
Right.
Carlos takes your $100. What that has said is that Carlos has agreed to accept new terms to an agreement he
To a rich.
already had.
Got
Mm.
it. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
so if Carlos rejects your $100, Carlos is saying, no, I'm not going to accept payments. I want my $500.
Right.
Which is why, listen, Phaedra did
Her big one.
her big one. Cynthia Bailey, Phaedra won a case. That was a whole big.
That was a
Someone,
big thing.
that
I
was
was
a
going
big. No,
back
no,
to that. I
Judge,
was like, so she
Judge.
actually won a
It was,
case.
Why do people talk about Phaedra like she's not a real lawyer? We went to law school together. Phaedra is a real lawyer. Okay. Go dogs. UGA law.
yes, no, I know. So Judge Tierney, I don't know if you ever watched the show before,
Right.
The Real Housewives of Atlanta, but there's this epic reunion moment where Cynthia Bailey, her and Phaedra had a verbal spat. Um, I'll clean your ears, but Phaedra said something about how Cynthia is sitting on Captain Crunch while she's sitting on Aquafina. Use your mind to wonder what that meant, right?
And I actually
Um,
know Cynthia as well. I think she's
okay,
a sweet
okay.
woman.
So again, they were having a verbal spat. In that verbal spat, Cynthia said, "Win a case, win a case," and then it went viral. So I want to make sure the raindrops know that Phaedra won that case,
It
and
should go viral.
it should go viral. She won the case, and we get
Okay.
to see raindrops on this new season of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. But one thing I do want to talk to you about, Judge Tyranny, and again, this is more. It's not about this case, so
Yep.
it's a big topic amongst Black women
Mm.
in the world, honestly. But I do want to just narrow it down to the city of Atlanta because I've heard conversations throughout my
Mhm.
years being there about child support
Yep.
and the laws in Georgia about that. When it comes to that specifically, how does a woman protect herself if she chooses to get married, have a child with no legal documentation? Shall something go awry? Shall the two of them break up? Meaning, her and her husband or partner, and they have a child together, so that when it comes to child support, these men aren't paying child support for years, and unfortunately, the single mom has to, in a lot of situations, make up for themselves.
Yeah, so I think that a lot of people may not realize in the state of Georgia, we have what I would call some unique laws that may not be consistent with other states.
Hmm.
So, the first thing I would say is that in the state of Georgia, if you are not legally married, you actually have to legitimize your baby and you have to get a parental and custody agreement.
Which is insane. That is not the case in California. If you sign the birth certificate, you're the daddy.
Yes, that
Uh,
has no bearing in the state of Georgia, and your child has no rights, and the father has no parental rights if you are not married without legitimization, and legitimization is required to be signed by a judge.
So explain that to me. When you said, because again, I'm fascinated. When you
I
say,
just learned this, Carlos. I just
and
learned it.
and Courtney, I want to get your thoughts on it because Courtney, I can edit this out. You want me to over to your business where you live?
No, go
Okay,
for it.
okay. Courtney lives in the state of California, so obviously the state of California, a blue state, the state of Georgia, a red state. They obviously have local branches that have different laws. Okay, fell out.
Yep.
Now, when you said they pretty much have to prove, um, that the pretty much, I'm saying in layman's terms, that you have to prove that this child is yours. What is that like? You have to first get a DNA test.
That's correct. But if you're not in agreement,
If you're not okay, if if I was heterosexual and me and Courtney decided, because all the girls will love
Even
no.
if you're were not heterosexual. He had a lavender marriage,
Homosexuals
Carlos.
still have children, Carlos.
No, I know, but I was gonna say if me and Courtney were in I was gonna say we were in a relationship,
We're
okay?
in a
But hey,
relationship.
gay
We
guy,
have a baby.
yes, I'm
You have
strictly
to prove paternity.
yeah. So when
You have to establish
Paternity.
legitimization in the state of Georgia. So
Right.
even a lot of times, to Courtney's point, people believe if they sign the birth certificate, hey, this is my kid. I know it's my kid. I signed the birth certificate. They believe they have rights. They do not. God forbid something happens to the
Yep.
father. The child has no rights to their estate.
Social Security, none of that.
Nothing. So
In
they
California,
are
you do though.
not considered an heir.
Yep.
So even if there is no dispute between the two, if you have accepted that this is your child, you all made this child together, but you were not legally married, you have to go an extra step in the state of Georgia and legitimize your child in order to be considered a legal parent.
A legal parent.
wow, so okay, so ladies who are in Atlanta, and I'm sorry that
Mhm.
unfortunately, statistically, there's a lot of single women in Atlanta who are
Mhm.
accomplished, beautiful, and just such great value women. Before you decide to have a child, or even if you get pregnant and it's a surprise pregnancy and you're not married, you're saying, well, let me ask you this. Even if you are married, or are you saying you're not married?
If you're married, as long as you're married by the time the baby is born, it doesn't matter if you're married when the baby was conceived. As long as you are married when that child is born, it's your child. Because also in the state of Georgia, if you are married and a woman has a child, legally,
What's
you are the father unless you prove otherwise, whether you are biologically the father or not.
Hold up, hold up, hold up. I gotta state this for my
Yep.
brothers. Courtney, you tell me California's different, child. Listen, you're saying
Definitely.
to me, if a man is married to a woman and his wife has a
Yep,
baby
Sheldon.
with another man while she's married to her
But she
husband,
didn't have it when she got impregnated by another man. In the state of Georgia, if they are married, she had a child with her husband.
Her husband.
even if biologically that's not his kid,
Legally, until someone goes to extra steps, legally, that is his child.
And you're on the hook.
unless the husband can prove via DNA that that's not his kid, although his wife had a baby on him. He has to prove that's not his kid, and then once he proves that, he has no legal right to this child, although he's married to the mother.
It's tricky.
It's tricky. And see, in California, in California, if you sign the birth certificate, you're assuming parental control. And if we later find out that it is not, you're not the father, you still, we have to go in California, you now have to go against the grain to prove that this was not your child. It was fraud practically. You signed under duress and you know what is it called, Judge? What am I trying to say? You weren't aware that that wasn't your kid.
It was misrepresented,
Misrepresentation, right? Of facts and paternity. But if if
which is very
if
hard to prove.
I had a baby and you signed the birth certificate and I later told you that's not your kid in California, you're still on the hook for that kid. Just like in Georgia, you're on the hook for the kid if you're married and I step out on you and get pregnant by somebody else.
So women now, if
And
so,
and, and I want to make sure because let's just make sure that women also understand because a lot of times I know there are a lot of single women who aren't getting help, but I am a woman, especially who believe that black men get a bad rep. Black men take care of their children. They're more involved with their children than any other race. This
I
is
absolutely agree with
statistics.
that.
This is not Judge Gundy. This is statistics.
Yep.
So the black men who are taking care of their children, even if they are not married, a lot of times women may not go to court because the father is taking care of his responsibilities.
Yep.
He's showing up for the child, he is providing for the child. Even in that instance, if you are not married, you need to go through the process of legitimization because, again, legally, your child is not an heir of that man.
Mm. So in cases where, so it has to be legal because there are cases that if I had a child going into my marriage outside of that, and even if it was with my husband, but we were not married at the time of conception, and I had another child when I was married, our first initial child has to be legitimized, correct? There is not an assumption that even though that man, my husband, is my first daughter or my first child's father, I still have to go through the steps of legitimization, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Mm.
And if that wasn't clear, if we were together, if Carlos and I were together, we had our son, Carlos King Jr., the King, and then we got married and had a daughter named Royal, or Rain. King is not legitimate. Rain is. So Carlos would have to go through the.
Unless you
Okay.
and Carlos completed legitimization when King was born.
Oh, okay. So that's a step
It's always an extra step if you're not married
in Georgia.
in Georgia.
God.
And okay, so that's the first start, Carlos.
Okay.
Okay, so the other thing that people need to realize about Georgia is that in other states, the father is considered their income alone. In the state of Georgia, there is a formula and there's a child support worksheet that must be presented to the court that it takes into the account. We're going on Courtney and Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Courtney and Carlos's income goes into the child support worksheet. You are equally responsible for this child.
Not in
So
California.
the child's that correct. So in Georgia, Courtney makes $100,000. Carlos makes $100,000. You put in the
Mm-hmm.
spreadsheet. You put all the child's needs in it. What the child, what it takes to care for this child. They let you put in amount for clothes, food, schooling, tutor, doctors, all of this detailed stuff. You go in. Once you've done that, let's say it takes $4,000 a month to take care of this child. Courtney's going to be responsible for $2,000. Carlos is going to be responsible for $2,000. So Carlos is only going to pay Courtney $2,000 a month. In
Not
another state,
like
it would be
right.
Carlos pays $4,000. The father is going to pay the entire child support need. In Georgia, we have this child support worksheet where you have to put both incomes. And
Mm.
then some people say, oh, I don't have a job, so I can't put any income. Not in Georgia. Georgia will impute income to an
Oh,
able bodied adult,
oh.
meaning that you are choosing not to work because you don't get to say, I'm in broadcasting, there's no broadcasting job available. You could go work at racetrack, right? 40 hours a week and you could make $20 an hour. That's going to be about $50,000 a year. That's what we're going to put in there.
Regardless if Carlos is making $100,000, they're gonna base it off of $50,000.
They're going to base it on the needs of the child. So
Okay.
now if you're making 50,000 and Carlos is making a
Take that
hundred
smirk
thousand,
off your face, baby daddy.
No, I'm just. No, this is I'm thinking about
he's
I'm
thinking
thinking
about why it's so
about
hard for the girlies in Georgia.
it's hard for the girls in Georgia. And I'm thinking about some of my conversations with these men in
Or some of
Atlanta.
the fathers, because
Right,
let's not discredit fathers who have full custody.
Yes.
That there
right.
are some women who pay child support to fathers.
Now, let me ask you this. Since financially it feels like it's equal, what if there are situations where is the visitation assumed to be equal as well? Because you and I talked about this when I said with my daughter, I made sure to get full physical and legal custody of her. So I assumed with optional or open visitation, meaning I wasn't going to stop him from seeing her, but it wasn't a state mandated requirement. I didn't assume any child support. I took on the legal and physical custody. In the state of Georgia, can you number one do that? And then number two, if there is a financial child support order in place, how is visitation affected?
There's going to the answer is it depends, but
Okay.
generally, if you have a child support agreement, you're going to also have a visitation agreement, and it's going to default where different things for the parent and the mother, father, and you're going to alternate.
Okay.
And so the thing that I think in Georgia they take into account that's really big too is the age of the child. So
Mhm.
whoever the primary parent is going to be in Georgia, it's going to be considered like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have as much visitation for the father or long-term visitation if it's a newborn and the mother's breastfeeding.
Got it.
But as the child gets older, then it may switch, or it may make up for that time that the father lost when the mother was breastfeeding. So it's going to take all of those things into account. And the default in Georgia is going to be joint legal custody, meaning we both have equal legal rights to this child. The difference is really going to be who is the primary custodial parent, who primary has custody of the child versus who is getting visitation.
But my thing is, if
and,
the
and, and that is suggested.
okay,
Courts like to recommend that the parents consider the children and that you try and work out a schedule that
that's
works for you and the child. Generally, the courts only want you to go default to this when you're having a disagreement or you guys can't come up with something that works. So if all else fails, hey, we're going to go back to the original default agreement.
mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
My thing becomes this, and Carlos, I'm so glad you brought this up because I would be fuming if I lived in Georgia, uh, and I needed child support. My thing becomes this: if it's contingent on my income as well as his, and it becomes equal, what if and it's based off of the needs of the child, shouldn't the custodial parent get more because the needs are going to be greater? Like, I don't see how we're splitting 50-50 if the child's needs are $4,000 a month, but they live with me and I'm only getting $2,000 from Carlos, the king. My expenses should be more. I should be getting the whole 4,000 or I should be getting at least 3,000 cuz
Well,
I'm
they call
responsible for
that
everything else.
what they call it. They call it girl math.
The girl
Mm.
math is not mathing for me.
Yeah, they call that girl math because in your mind that's what you believe. But according to the child support worksheet, as an adult, whether you have a child or not, you have to pay for where you live. Whether you
Right.
have a child or not, you're going to have to pay your light bill. You're going to have to buy groceries. You're going to have heat, air, cable, internet. You have to pay these whether you're the mother or the father because that's what it takes for both of you to live. Again, this is me speaking to the child support worksheet because the raindrops probably going to light my pants on fire.
Talk
I'm
about
not
I'm
it.
saying
about to
this
light
is
her pants on
this,
fire.
Talk
this is
about it.
not my personal opinion. I'm explaining the child support worksheet. The child support, which is why I said is very detailed. You have to put all of the expenses of the child. it's going to impute some of what it takes for a child to live. Once it comes up with that number, it's going to divide it up. So Courtney, you make 50,000, Carlos makes 100,000. Now that means that Carlos is going to be responsible for 66%. You're going to be responsible for 33% of $4,000. So then it does it based on how much you make, as well as how your percentage of what it takes to take care of your child.
Okay, that's a little bit better.
No, this
I
is
guess
this is this is good. Oh, go ahead, Quinn. I'm sorry.
I
But
guess
in
the disclaimer for
Atlanta,
me is
to
don't get
Carlos's
pregnant
point,
in Georgia.
there are a lot of women who make higher incomes than the men.
I would be pissed.
And that's why what you're seeing now is this trend of men marrying up. Is as Courtney rolls her eyes. And that's why, listen, ladies, gentlemen, gays and bays, that's why y'all got a lot of information out of Judge Tyranny today, baby, because she is
Uh-uh.
schooling y'all on what to do. To all of my single ladies in Atlanta, whatever you do before the child is born, right? Conceived as
And born.
No, no,
Right.
no. Legitimization cannot happen if you are married, if you are not married until after the child is born. You
right,
can
but but
go
but
through
but
this
get the agreement
process.
before they're born, right?
You can actually negotiate, discuss the terms. You can draft the paperwork. You can
Mm-hmm.
sign it, but a judge has to sign off on it for it to be legal. So you and your partner have to go and present it to a court for a judge to sign off on it.
Mm,
And
And
they
that
can't a
cannot
judge
happen. They will not sign off on it before
until
the
the baby
baby
is
is
here.
born.
Yeah. But this is
yeah,
also coming from
And
Judge T, who says everything, we want paperwork on everything.
everything. And I will also say, I'm giving you what the law says.
right.
Just like in anything else, the two of you can get together, Courtney and Carlos, and you can negotiate what Courtney's going to do and what Carlos is going to do. I
Mhm.
like to make sure that people know, but when the court gets involved, this is what the court is going to make you do.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the court is going to cap the amount of child support as well as the income. So you're like, oh, my guy makes $5 million a year. $5 million a year is not going in the child support worksheet.
Yeah. Judge Tierney, thank you for this.
Thank you for
Raindrops,
this.
y'all learned a lot in this episode, baby. I love it. Courtney's clutching her invisible pearls.
I
Okay.
feel
Courtney is saying,
like
I'm
I was a full boom. Like she technically is an adult, but I mean, like she is fully grown, and she's like, it
yes,
would
yes.
never be me.
Courtney is saying, I was staying California resident. Thank you so much. And
blue, true
Courtney,
to the blue out here. True
not
to the
true to
blue.
the blue. You are
True
crazy.
to the blue.
Yes. Raindrops, we will see y'all again on the next one. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Tyranny.
Thank you, Carlos, for these
Yes, bye,
updates.
raindrops. Don't get too
Bye.
mad at me.
Ah!